Dear Boomers, how to be human in an inhumane world. There comes a moment in life when we look around and we wonder, what happened to kindness, to civility, and what happened to patience, and what happened to just simply listening without blabbing responses and advice? What happened to the simple dignity of being treated like a human being? And for so many boomers and seniors, the question is not abstract. It is felt in the doctor's office when no one is looking up from the computer as you try to explain how you feel. It is felt on the phone when you are trapped in a maze of automated prompts, and that is so common it's pathetic, really. And it is felt in the grocery store when prices climb higher and higher, but people seem colder and colder. They seem like they are unconnected to the suffering of the human condition. It is felt in families where political arguments, old wounds, addictions, and estrangements and grief and disappointment have created emotional distance. And it is felt online, where everyone seems to be shouting or performing or reacting or judging and rushing to be right, rushing to succeed. And it is felt quietly at home when the house is too silent, the phone does not ring, and the world seems to be moving on without you. So today I want to talk about something very simple and yet very deep. And that is, how do we remain human in an inhumane world? The thinking of the world has crept into our everyday lives. And how do we keep our hearts open without becoming naive? And how do we stay compassionate without becoming exhausted? And how do we live with dignity in a culture that often reduces people to numbers, opinions, productivity, medical codes, passwords, algorithms, and data points? And how do we, as boomers and seniors, become not merely survivors of this age, but witnesses to a deeper way of living? Because I believe we are living through a time when older adults are needed more than ever. Not because we have all the answers, and not because we are perfect, because we know we're not, but because we have lived long enough to know that a society without a soul cannot sustain itself. We have seen enough life to know that technology is not wisdom, and we know that speed is not depth, noise is not truth, convenience is not connection, and information is not the same as love. Recently, Pope Leo XIV released an encyclical called Magnificent Humanitas, which speaks directly to this moment. Its central concern is the safeguarding of the human person in the time of artificial intelligence. Now, whether you are Catholic, Protestant, Jewish, Buddhist, spiritual but not religious, or simply a person of goodwill and kindness, there is something deeply important in Pope Leo's message. The Pope is not saying that technology is evil. He is saying that artificial intelligence is automatically dangerous. He's not saying that, but he is saying something far more subtle and far more urgent, which is that technology must remain at the service of the human person, not the other way around. He says that this is the heart of our conversation today, not only what the Pope says, but what we must concentrate on. Because the danger of an inhumane world is not only that machines become more powerful. The deeper danger is that human beings begin acting like machines. Efficient but empty, fast but unfeeling, connected but lonely, informed but unwise. productive, but spiritually starved. The question is not simply what will artificial intelligence do to us? The question is what kind of human beings are we becoming and will be evolving into? And even more personally, what kind of human being do I want to be in the years I have left? That question matters at every age, but especially as we age. But it carries a special weight in the later chapters of life. Because by the time we reach our 60s, 70s, and 80s, and beyond, we have fewer illusions. We know life is fragile, and we know health can change in a single phone call. We know that the people we love will not be here forever. And we know that money matters, but it cannot hold our hand at 3 a.m. in the morning. We know that success is hollow without meaning. We know that being right is not always the same as being loving or being human. And we know that a human life is not measured only by achievement, but by presence with a capital P, and by kindness with a capital K, by courage with a capital C, by how we treat the vulnerable, by how we speak when we are afraid, by whether we choose bitterness or blessing, by whether we become hard or whether we become more real in our relationships with everybody. Pope Leo uses two powerful biblical images in his encyclical, the Tower of Babel and the rebuilding of Jerusalem. The Tower of Babel is the image of human pride without humility. It is the impulse to build higher and higher, faster and faster, without asking whether the foundation is love. It is the drive to make a name for ourselves, to control, to dominate, to become powerful, to remove limits, and to eliminate dependence, to erase difference, to reduce mystery to management, mastery, and mystery. And isn't that one of the temptations of our time? We want systems that work faster, but we forget the person waiting on the other end. We want medical technology that can scan and measure everything, but we forget to ask the patient, how are you really doing? We want communication platforms that connect the globe, but we forget how to sit across from one person and listen without interrupting. We want artificial intelligence that can generate words, images, decisions, predictions. But we forget that wisdom requires a heart. The Tower of Babel is not just an ancient story. It is a warning. It asks us, are we building a world where people are seen? Are we building a world where people are processed? And are we building a world where elders are honored instead of tossed away? Or are we building a world where aging bodies are treated as inconveniences? Are we building a world where the poor, sick and lonely, grieving, disabled, and forgotten are included? Are we building a world where only the efficient, only the wealthy, young, and digitally fluent can keep up? That is Babel. A world of impressive systems and wounded souls. But Pope Leo also gives us the image of Jerusalem being rebuilt, biblically speaking. And this is where hope enters. Hope Nehemiah does not rebuild alone. He does not descend with a grand solution from above. He prays, he listens, he surveys the broken places, he invites people to rebuild the wall section by section, and everyone has a role. Everyone has a part to play. The city is restored, and not by domination, but by shared responsibility. By the way, please subscribe to this channel. I would really appreciate it. I'm almost at 1,000 subscribers, and I would love to do that as soon as possible. Now, this is a perfect image for boomers and seniors, because many older adults wonder, what is my role now? The career may be over. The children may be grown. The body may not do what it used to do. The world may seem unfamiliar. The culture may feel harsher, faster, more fragmented. But the role of the elder is not over. It may be just beginning in a new form. You may not be called to rebuild the whole wall, but you are called to rebuild your section of the wall. Your section may be your family, and your section may be one lonely neighbor, and your section may be a grandchild who needs someone to believe in it and believe in them. Your section may be a phone call you make every Tuesday. Your section may be a prayer list. And your section may be community groups, like the Dear Boomer community. And your section may be a story you finally tell. Your section may be forgiveness. Your section may be refusing to pass cruelty forward. And your section may be bringing warmth into a cold, cold room, metaphorically and literally. And we do not become more human by fixing the whole world. We become more human by refusing to surrender our own humanity. That begins with attention, consciousness, awareness. To be human in an inhumane world, we must recover the sacred act of paying attention. Attention is one of the most loving things we can give. When you look someone in the eye, you are saying, you matter. When you listen without preparing your rebuttal, you are saying, your experience has dignity. When you slow down enough to notice suffering, you are saying, you are not invisible to me. And this is where older adults can become spiritual revolutionaries, because the culture is addicted to speed. But elders can model depth. The culture is addicted to reaction, but elders can model reflection. The culture is addicted to outrage, but elders can model discernment. The culture is addicted to performance, but elders can model authenticity. The culture says, keep up. The elders can say, slow down, look again, listen more deeply. This is not weakness. This is wisdom. Being human in an inhumane world also means protecting tenderness. Tenderness is not sentimental. Tenderness is brave, courageous. It takes courage to remain soft in a world that remains hardness, that rewards hardness. And it takes courage to admit loneliness. And it takes courage to say, I need help. One of the most incredible spiritual practices that there is. And it takes courage to grieve without pretending everything is fine. And it takes courage to love again after loss. It takes courage to stay open after betrayal. Many boomers and seniors were raised in a culture that said, don't complain, keep going, be strong, pull yourself together. There is value in resilience. But there is also danger in emotional silence because unspoken pain does not disappear. It settles into the body. It becomes resentment. It becomes anxiety. It becomes isolation, and it becomes the hard shell we mistake for strength. To be human is not to let the heart breathe. To be human is to let the heart breathe. This does not mean telling everyone everything. It means refusing to abandon yourself. And it means asking this question, what am I really feeling? What grief have I not honored? What fear am I carrying alone? What conversation have I avoided because I'm afraid what might happen? What would it mean to speak honestly but kindly? And there is a kind of elderhood that becomes more defended with age. And there is another kind of elderhood that becomes more transparent as we age, more spacious, more forgiving, more deeply alive. This is elderhood. Our world needs this. Not elders who simply complain that the world has changed and what are these young people doing, blah, 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 but elders who embody what must never be lost: patience, mercy, prayer, memory, humor, perspective and neighborliness and gratitude, the ability to sit with sorrow and not run away, the ability to bless the young without needing to control them, and the ability to say, I have lived through hard things before. We can live through this too if we do not lose our souls. Being human in an inhumane world also means resisting the reduction of people to labels. This is one of the great sicknesses of our time. We reduce people to political parties, to diagnoses, to age groups, and to be income levels, to race, to class, to religion, to mistakes, to social media posts, to what they believe about one issue, to whether they agree with me or you. And once we reduce someone to a label, it becomes easier to dismiss them. But no human being is only one thing. The person who irritates you has a wound you may not see. The family member who voted differently from you may also be lonely. The young person glued to their phone may be carrying anxiety you never had language for. And the older person who seems angry may be terrified of losing control. The person in the wheelchair is not a wheelchair. The person with dementia is not their dementia. And the person living in poverty is not a problem to be solved. The person who needs help is not a burden. And every human being is a mystery. And this is where spiritual life becomes practical. Because to believe in human dignity means I cannot treat people as disposable. And not when they are slow, and not when they are confused, and not when they disagree with me. not when they are inconvenient, not when they are old, and not even when they are young, not when they are poor, not when they are sick, not when they are dying. This is one of the most urgent messages of our time. The human person must remain at the center, not profit. Not profit at the center, not speed at the center, not technology, not ideology, not convenience, not the person. The person, the living, breathing, vulnerable, sacred person, and that includes you. You are not less valuable because you are older. You are not less important because you are retired. You are not less worthy because your body has changed. And you are not less relevant because you did not grow up in the digital age. You are not a leftover from another era, and you are a carrier of memory, of the memory that we all carry, and you are a witness. You are a bridge. You are someone who knows that love is not theoretical. You know that love is just showing up and using your heart to beam love to everyone you meet today. Love is bringing the casserole. Love is sitting at the bedside holding someone's hand as they pass on to the other dimension. Love is holding the hand. Love is driving someone to the appointment. Love is making the call. And love is telling the truth gently. Love is staying when it would be easier to leave. Pope Leo speaks of building a civilization of love. That phrase can sound lofty, but I believe it is doable, and it starts with us. But the civilization of love is built in ordinary moments. It is built when you refuse to humiliate someone online. It is built when you check on your neighbor. And it is built when you call the person who is grieving after everyone else has gone back to normal. And it is built when you include the person who has been abandoned, who has been forgotten. And it is built when you speak to the home health aide, the cashier, the janitor, the receptionist, the exhausted nurse, the confused patient, and the lonely widow, as if they are fully human. And it is built when you refuse to let your words become weapons. And that matters because words are one of the places where humanity is either protected or destroyed. We are living in a time when words are often used to shame and to divide, mock, and dehumanize. But elders can help disarm language. We can say, I disagree, but I will not degrade you. And I am angry, but I will not become cruel. I am afraid, but I will not spread fear. And I am wounded, but I will not pass the wound forward. I have strong convictions, but I will not force them on you. And I will remember your humanity. And this is not weakness. This is moral strength. And it is easy to become inhumane when the world feels threatening. And it is easy to retreat into cynicism. It is easy to say, people are terrible. It is easy to stop caring. But cynicism is not wisdom. Cynicism is often grief that has lost its way. Wisdom sees clearly and still loves. Wisdom does not deny suffering. It does not pretend everything is fine, and it does not fall for shallow positivity. But wisdom refuses to let suffering have the final word. So how do we practice being human? Let me offer a few simple practices. First, begin the day as a person, not as a consumer of chaos. Before you reach for your phone, place your hand on your heart and pray for a beautiful day, because we're alive in this moment, in this day. And take one breath and say, I am still here. I am still human. Let me be a presence of love today. That one moment matters. It doesn't have to be lengthy, but because the world will try to recruit your nervous system before you have even gotten out of bed. This is important. It's so easy to grab the phone to see what the news is. The headlines, the notifications, the outrage, the fear, the comparison, the noise. Begin with your soul and choose one human act every day, one phone call, one note, even write a letter and send it, one prayer, one compliment, one apology, one moment of listening, one act of service. Do not underestimate the power of one human act. Loneliness is not healed by theory. It is healed by contact, by consistency, by someone remembering your name, by someone saying, I thought of you today. And third, practice sacred listening. The next time someone speaks to you, try listening without fixing, without judging, without correcting or comparing. Just listen. Let them finish. Let there be a pause. You may be surprised how rare this has become. You may also be surprised how healing it really is. Deeply healing. Fourth, make peace with limitations. This is one of the hardest lessons of all, because, especially of aging, because also one of the most holy moments. We are limited. Our bodies are limited. Our time is limited. Our energy is limited. Our control is limited. But limits are not failures. They are something that can teach us tenderness, and limits can teach us dependence, and limits can teach humility. Limits can teach us what really matters. An inhumane world sees weakness as something to eliminate. A humane world sees weakness as an invitation to care. And this is radical. This is a radical difference. And refuse invisibility. Many older adults do feel unseen. But do not disappear from your own life. Tell your stories. Share your wisdom. Ask for what you need. And ask what you can do for others. Join the conversation. Learn what you can. Laugh often. Create something. Bless someone. Your presence still matters. Love you all. Bye-bye.